guys, it's Kales, and I'm going to talk to you about some books I want turned into plays. So I mentioned before I was doing this series where I'm talking about books that I want to be turned into TV shows, movies, and plays. Now here's the thing. I got asked if I include musicals into that adaptation of plays. Abso-freaking-lutely. I love certain musicals, aka like Wicked, that are books that have been turned into musicals. I'm totally down for that. However, my brain doesn't work like that. I can't think about like the musical numbers, but I can think about staging things, so that's why I say plays. Sure, if you have an idea for a book that you would love to be turned into a musical, like I never thought Percy Jackson would make a good musical, but it's pretty good, then let me know down in the comments below. My brain just doesn't work like that, but I welcome any suggestions you might have for those of you who have brains that work like that. Needless to say, now that we're done talking about brains that work like that, I want to talk about books, and I want to talk about books that I think would be really good turning them into plays. So this first one is The Leaving by Tara Altebrando, which I have done a full review on of like 5 reasons you should read The Leaving, and this is about 6 kids that were taken when they were kindergartners that suddenly show back up again, but only 5 of them do, and it's about 3 different perspectives, and I just think this would make a great mystery on the stage because it's so intricate and you could have all these ins and outs and different stories and talking to the audience about their thoughts and the evidence and going in flashbacks, and I just think it would look really, really cool on the stage, and I think it'd be really interesting dynamics and the actors, and I think there could be some really intense moments too where they can be like up in each other's faces and confronting one another and the history and the past of it. I just think it would be really, really an interesting, intense play. Okay, now this one is kind of a natural pick, and that's Fool by Christopher Moore, which is King Lear from the Fool's perspective. Yes, please, can I have this into a play, like, now? I would love this idea. It's very Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, which is Hamlet from Rosencrantz and Guildenstern's perspective, and I think this would be a great comedy parody of King Lear from the Fool's perspective with a lot of added extra elements, of course, because it's Christopher Moore, and you can't do that without... Chris Moore can't do it. It's just he just does. He always has to add a bunch of things. So I think this would be just a natural fit for the stage. It would be so much fun and hilarious. We could also do The Serpent of Venice. I'd be totally down for that one. But I really think that this would be just an easy transition onto the stage, honestly. The next book that I want to mention is called The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton, and the reason I think of this one is for 2 reasons. The costumes and the set, okay? And props a little bit in there too. Because this book is about a woman who gets an arranged marriage in like 18th, 19th century Amsterdam, and she finds out a lot of secrets about her husband, and there's only a few characters, and it would just be a beautiful set. And she gets this dollhouse from this miniaturist that like starts to mimic what's actually happening in her real house. Can you imagine that prop? And if you could like make the set like the actual dollhouse that mirrors the dollhouse, and then the costumes from Amsterdam in this time period, come on, please, yes, and thank you. Like I said, there's also only a couple of characters. It'd be really intricate and just such a good place, because it mostly takes place in the house too. Oh, it just... I see it. I see it. I have a vision. I see it. It'd be incredible. It'd be a really, really in-depth show, but intricate and beautiful. Okay, this one is also kind of an obvious choice, and I feel kind of bad putting it on here, but I'm sorry. I need it. I need a Shakespearean play of Star Wars. I need someone to take this script and make it into a play. I need it to happen. I've had a lot of schools I know that have done live readings of this, which is the whole Star Wars story saga being transferred into Shakespearean English. It's amazing. And why hasn't this happened? Like, wouldn't this make like a great puppet show? I don't know why, but it's like very Avenue Q in my head, like a little Yoda and like Darth Vader have a I don't... This might sound really lame and corny, but I don't care. I think having a William Shakespeare Star Wars is perfect for the stage. Why wouldn't we do this? Speaking of Shakespeare, another one that I have to put on here is Gary Blackwood's The Shakespeare Stealer, which is about a young boy named Widge who's an orphan who learns shorthand in Shakespearean England, and he gets adopted by this man who makes him copy down Shakespeare's plays in shorthand, and one day Widge gets caught and claims he wants to be an actor and gets swept up into Shakespeare's troupe and the Chamberlain's Men, and it's just so good, and there's a trilogy, but it would just be a an easy fit into the Shakespearean globe. And there's been so many retellings and so many different, like, just tellings of Shakespeare and his time and stories, and why can't we add this one? I just saw this play recently called The Book of Will, and by recently I mean last year, but I loved it, and I thought, well, wouldn't this be like a great type of thing that fits in that genre, that era, and it would be perfect. I think it would be brilliant. Why aren't these things plays? Okay, this one's also a bit of an odd choice, and some people may not know this book, but this is Rooms by Lauren Oliver, and this all takes place in one house, and it's told from like different generations of owners of that house, and takes place in different rooms in the house. There's also 2 ghosts that haunt the house from their past. So, if you can imagine with me, build this house on stage in your mind, okay? Just do it. And as each scene takes place, it's lit up in different sections, okay? And as different parts of history are told in each of the rooms, the actors can blend in and out of the room, but the set doesn't really change, just like the lighting and the costumes, and they can have scenes that are going around each other. I'm telling you, it'd be a brilliant, creepy piece of theater, because this book is creepy, but it'd be so good, and it ends in a fire, and you can just imagine the effects that theater can do nowadays that would just put this house into blaze, and the heartbreak and tragedy would be an actor's dream in some of these characters, and I just foresee it as like this beautiful set and just well directed and well blocked, and you see, can't you see it? You can see it too. It should happen. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. This one might be a little bit difficult to put on the stage, and this one might be one that I would tailor into a musical if I can think that way, but I just feel like there's a lot of magic in this book I'm about to mention, and there's magic in the theater, and I feel like that we always need to remember that, and it's something that you just feel and is so visceral. And I feel like this book has the same feeling, and that book is The Thief Lord by Cornelia Funke. And I know it was made into a really terrible movie, and you can see how much I love my copy. It's so beat up. But I feel as though this could be transferred into a really beautiful show with the Venetian background, and it could be its own character, Venice, in this story, and the carousels, and the costumes with the Thief Lord, and modern versus old, and young versus old, you know, and their conflicts with age, and I think it would just be really interesting to see how this turns out and the family dynamic, and I also see it as a little bit bigger of a production, so that's why I also see it as a musical more in my head. It's really the only one I could think of that I might be like, musical, I'll take that, Thief Lord the musical, you know, and somebody would have to do really, really well by it, though, and really someone who treasures this story, because it really is something that just fits. The tone fits the theater in my head, and I think, gosh, it would just, oh, it would be magical. Okay, you need to bear with me here, and I know I've asked that about 3 or 4 times with all these books I've mentioned, but this last one, people are gonna be like, what? Hold on. ILLUMINAE, I think, would make an excellent play. Here's my thing. I feel like if you haven't seen something like Curious Case of the Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, and the technology that is there for theater nowadays, this could be there. When the pictures are up of who's dying, great projections. Dear Evan Hansen does the same thing. When they're doing video surveillance, they could be acting it out as the video is up, commentaries from above. You know, you can warp the stage in ways and have people separated as they're having conversations, but you see both of them at the same time on stage. And I see it. It's weird, and it's a long book, but I think that theater might be one of the few ways we could get the same sensation out of this without going necessarily too visual, because this is such a beautiful work of art in of itself, and I'd want to translate that to the stage, and I feel like you could do it. I feel like it would take some really, really smart, outside-the-box thinking individuals, but I feel like they could do it, and I feel like it could be really, really cool. So there's my list. It's a weird list. But these are some really interesting plays. If they ever became plays. I think they could work. You know, I really do. Are there any off the bat that you can think of that you would like to become plays or musicals? If that's how your brain works, let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to have a conversation with you guys. Until next time, bye! Why are these always so heavy? Can I take a picture? Yes, I'm aware my battery is low. Let's do it this way. I rarely take pictures when the books are like this.